good evening. And if it's not, I don't care. All right, read the shirt. Thick thighs, thin patience, and that is the exact attitude I am bringing into this video. Today, we are going to be discussing how to lose weight with intuitive eating. And if you follow intuitive eating and you clicked on this video just to write me an essay about how you can't want to lose weight and intuitively eat because if you want to lose weight, therefore it's not intuitive eating, hold off, please. Just give me the rest of my video to say my piece. And if you're still not convinced by the end of this, then fine, write me an essay. But I will warn you, I'm in a very feisty mood tonight. I never bring this energy into a YouTube video, but I am ready to fight. Although, to be fair, by the time this goes up, I might not be in that mood anymore. I might just like it and move on with my life. So whatever. Table of contents. Part 1, we're going to be going over the 10 principles of intuitive eating and finding diet advice in it and rating it. Talking about the founders, the badass founders of intuitive eating. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. You'll see. Part 3, we'll be discussing what is and what is not intuitive eating. We're going to go through the 10 principles of intuitive eating and tear them apart piece by piece to find some diet advice or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so let's go. Number 1 is reject the diet mentality. They write, throw out the diet books and magazine articles that offer you the false hope of losing weight quickly, easily, and permanently. Get angry at diet culture that promotes weight loss and the lies that have led you to feel as if you were a failure every time a new diet stopped working and you gained back all of the weight. If you allow even one small hope to linger that a new and better diet or food plan might be lurking around the corner, it will prevent you from being free to rediscover intuitive eating. Honest rating on this one, 1 out of 10. I think that this advice is a little bit gatekeepy. And when you think about the people who are going to come across intuitive eating content, it's most likely someone who has been a chronic dieter. So already in the first principle on this front page of the intuitiveeating.org website, you're telling people that they can't believe in dieting. That's exclusionary. It's making it this club, and it already stinks of you're with us or you're against it. You have to completely reject this notion that anything else will work. And it's also not true that dieting is definitely going to mean that you gain back all of the weight. And I just hate how specific the wording is if you allow even one small hope to linger. It's okay, so basically if this doesn't work out for someone, are they just fucked? What's your point? 1 out of 10. Number 2, honor your hunger. Keep your body biologically fed with adequate energy and carbohydrates. Otherwise, you can trigger a primal drive to overeat. Once you reach the moment of excessive hunger, all intentions of moderate conscious eating are fleeting and irrelevant. Learning to honor this first biological signal sets the stage for rebuilding trust in yourself and food. TBH, now that I reread this, I think it is a little bit dramatic, in my most humble opinion. No diet is supposed to make you feel starved. And I feel overall, people need to see hunger as a legitimate factor in whether or not a diet is going to work for them. And I feel no one thinks about it or considers it or talks about it. If you feel so extremely hungry through most of your diet, why would you do it? Honestly. You're just going to burn yourself out. And even if you can white knuckle through it and get through a lot of the diet, get most of the weight off, there's no way you're going to maintain it because what kind of a life is that? And even if you do hit your dream body, even if you do reach that final goal, that final form that you wanted, it's not your dream body if it was a nightmare to maintain or if it was hell to get there. Although I do still find the wording a tad bit over dramatic, I'm still going to give the message in the second principle 10 out of 10. Number 3, make peace with food. Call a truce. Stop the food fight. Give yourself unconditional permission to eat. If you tell yourself that you can't or shouldn't have a particular food, it can lead to intense feelings of deprivation that build into uncontrollable cravings and often binging. When you finally give in to your forbidden foods, eating will be experienced with such intensity, it usually results in Last Supper overeating and overwhelming guilt. I give this third principle 1 out of 10. I think that this is extremely generic advice, and I feel it only applies verbatim to a couple people, or even more than that. I'm just saying that a lot of people, looking at obesity rates and such, most people probably shouldn't follow this advice. I feel this could so easily be skewed and changed into permission to binge. And it's interesting that they even say that, like, if you tell yourself you can't or shouldn't have food, and then you have a feeling of deprivation and an uncontrollable craving, and then you binge, it's interesting that they say that they call out binging and say that this third principle is going to prevent binging. But when I read it, give yourself unconditional permission to eat, and then it says, don't tell yourself you can't or shouldn't have a particular food. It's like, that just is describing a binge to me. I feel like that TikTok meme where they say, maybe you're too nice, maybe you should be meaner, and then it cuts to the girl who stitches it and she goes, not you. Not you. She was not talking about you. And I feel like for most people, this is not talking about you. It's like, for most people, or for a lot of people, the issue is with overeating. Telling yourself no to whatever the massive amount of food is, whatever the binge is actually the right call. So for that reason, I think this advice is just being way too generic. I think that, yeah, it probably does apply to some people and does help a lot of people, but I just think it's overall too generic. And I think that in the wrong hands and the wrong symptoms, like person who has binging symptoms, it can just make things worse. And for that reason, I'm going to stick with 1 out of 10. Number 4, challenge the food police. Scream aloud no to thoughts in your head that declare you're good for eating minimal calories or bad because you ate a piece of chocolate. The food police monitor the unreasonable rules that diet culture has created. The police station is housed deep in your psyche, and its loudspeaker shouts negative barbs, hopeless phrases, and guilt-provoking indictments. Hold on. Indictments. Fuck you. Okay? Indictments. Okay? God, I don't think I've ever had to say that word in my life. Okay? I gave this principle a 5 out of 10. I think it depends on the circumstance. I think that it's okay, and I think it's normal, and I honestly think it would be expected if someone has a goal to lose weight and to be healthier and to like stop eating so many damn potato chips or something like that. If they have a night after a while of doing a following through on that goal, if they then have a night where they eat a bunch of potato chips, I think it's normal, expected, reasonable to be kind of disappointed in yourself. Like I said, depending on the circumstance, I think if someone is taking the shame and guilt to like really, really extreme, super personal, super like, the fuck? Oh, gotta take my trash out. If someone's being way too hard on themselves, then yeah, I think that this applies. But this is kind of the issue that I had with the previous principle is like, well, it depends. It depends on who you're talking to. It depends on what their issues are. And I think having like this blanket 10-step principles for like anyone and everyone under the sun is just not guiding everyone to the same spot, because everyone is coming from different spots. And I don't appreciate, I'll get into this later, but I just really don't appreciate intuitive eating being held on this pedestal as like the one and only and purest relationship anyone could ever have with food. And it's something everyone should aspire to if it's not realistic for everybody. More on that later. But in this case, as I was saying, it's like, if you have a goal to do something new or to stop an old bad habit, and you have like days or weeks streak of doing the good thing, stopping the bad thing, you haven't had any slip ups, and then the night that you finally do, the night that you finally mess up, I think that it's okay and it's normal to feel a little disappointed in yourself. Like if you did something that was against the goal that you set for yourself, yeah, of course you're going to feel a little bummed out. I don't think it's healthy or very understanding for people to misconstrue that as like someone having like, I don't know what, like fat phobia or like extreme issues with food, when I think it just so happens that the goal was food related or the goal was exercise related. That doesn't mean that they have an eating disorder. And I don't want people to take it out of proportion. If someone is a little bummed out that they broke their good habit streak, even if it was food related. Like that point is like irrelevant. It's like, I do think that this is also like within reason. I mean, if someone is like seriously thinking that they're a bad person, that they have a bad heart, a bad character, they take it like super to heart that they broke their streak or that they did the bad habit again or whatever it is. I mean, allow yourself to feel some negative feeling, but yeah, of course you don't want to set yourself up to be terrified to ever indulge, because then what kind of life is that? Like, you want to have trust in yourself that you can have a treat, you can have an indulgence, and everything will be okay, because you are okay and you'll make things okay. Like, you do great things. You've done great things. You've had this great run. You're doing something great. You're breaking a bad habit. You're starting new good habits. You had a slip, but like, I mean, once it's done, it's done. Like, that's in the past. Then you get up and you continue, and you will. And then when you want to indulge again, you'll know that everything will be fine. You learn to trust yourself with it. You learn to probably later on in your journey loosen up on your rules, and you'll see that like things are still okay. Like, life moves on. The world still spins. Like, you keep going after something like that happens. And I think that that's part of the journey. But like, to think that you can never have a negative feeling or any guilt whatsoever for anything you ever eat, any amount you ever eat, I mean, I just don't think that's realistic. And I don't think that that applies to everyone. Again, it's circumstantial. For that reason, 5 out of 10. Principle number 5, discover the satisfaction factor. The Japanese have the wisdom to keep pleasure as one of their goals of healthy living. In our compulsion to comply with diet culture, we often overlook one of the most basic gifts of existence, the pleasure and satisfaction that can be found in the eating experience. When you eat what you really want in an environment that is inviting, the pleasure you derive will be a powerful force in helping you feel satisfied and content. By providing this experience for yourself, you will find that it takes just the right amount of food for you to decide you've had, quote unquote, enough. I give this principle a 10 out of 10, okay? I love food, and I love meals out with friends. I love any type of social meals and stuff like that. And I just had like a super long vent session about this in my day 2 weight loss vlog. So I'm not going to like say it all over again word for word, but basically like, absolutely. I think that any diet that is making it so that you can't enjoy a meal out with friends, if you enjoy meals out with friends, then that's not the diet for you. That's not the diet that you want to follow. Like I said, even in the previous one, you want to be able to trust yourself to have these indulgences, to have meals out, because when you look at the cost that it would be to not allow yourself to do that, or to not have that kind of flexibility in your diet, you're risking like social isolation and like falling into this deeper and deeper trap of fear of food. And that's just not a way to live. I mean, like, you want to like food, you want to like your diet. So absolutely, like, eat things that are satisfying. Eat things that you like. I mean, come on. Of course. 10 out of 10. Number 6, feel your fullness. In order to honor your fullness, you need to trust that you will give yourself the foods that you desire. Listen for the body signals that tell you that you are no longer hungry. Observe the signs that show that you're fully comfortable. Sorry, my dyslexia. Observe the signs that show that you're comfortably full. Pause in the middle of eating and ask yourself how the food tastes and what your current hunger level is. 10 out of 10. I think this is great advice. I think that this is a really good advice to prevent binging, because along with binging typically comes like extreme guilt, extreme discomfort, and how you're feeling physically, a lot of shame, etc. And I think that if you're checking in with your hunger levels throughout the meal, it prevents you from ever reaching that point where you're so stuffed, like you're over full, and you have, it's like such an uncomfortable and heavy fullness that you're like, I never ever want to do that again. Like, I am 10 out of 10 on the full scale. Like, I cannot do this again. Like, I cannot let this happen again. And that kind of point is scary. Like, it feels like a problem. I think this 6 principles advice to feel your fullness throughout your meal is going to make it more enjoyable, but then also prevent you from reaching the point where you're like, this is no longer fun. Like, carb coma is setting and I need someone to drive me home and tuck me into bed like a little baby. Number 7, cope with your emotions with kindness. First, recognize that food restriction, both physically and mentally, can in and of itself trigger loss of control, which can feel like emotional eating. Find ways to comfort, nurture, distract, and resolve your issues. Anxiety, loneliness, boredom, and anger are emotions that we all experience throughout life. Each has its own trigger and each has its own appeasement. Food won't fix any of these feelings. It may comfort for the short term, distract from the pain, or even numb you, but food won't solve the problem. If anything, eating for an emotional hunger may only make you feel worse in the long run. You'll ultimately have to deal with the source of the emotion. 10 out of 10. I can't even rephrase that in a better way because they just hit it right on the head. I can't even try to say it any differently, any better. This is just, I literally want to take a screenshot of that one and frame it and post it on my wall. It's just so good. Number 8 is respect your body. Accept your genetic blueprint. Just as a person with a shoe size of 8 would not expect to realistically squeeze into a size 6, it is easily futile and uncontrollable to have a similar expectation about body size. But mostly, respect your body so you can feel better about who you are. It's hard to reject the diet mentality if you are unrealistic and overly critical of your body size or shape. Body size or shape. All bodies deserve dignity. I don't want to get hate for not giving this a 10 out of 10 because it sounds really, really good, but there is something that's bumping it down a little bit for me, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, and I will explain. Abso-fucking-lutely. Every size, every person deserves to feel beautiful. Beauty is subjective, and I would never try to make someone feel less beautiful just because they're not my type. Because that's not my place. That's not anyone's place to try to make someone else feel worse and have lower confidence just because of how they look. Secondly, every size deserves to feel comfortable and every size deserves to feel confident. I would never want to take that from someone. And I'm not even just talking about appearance anymore. Forget the size that someone is. If someone is in their heart confident, comfortable, at peace with who they are, and they're proud of who they are as a person, as someone with obviously this extreme depth and complexity that the surface level doesn't even come remotely close to touching, them as a human being, as a confident, self-assured, higher self-esteem person, as someone who struggles with that daily, I wouldn't ever try to tear someone else down or try to bring them down because of something as minor as their appearance, that's just wild. It says all bodies deserve dignity. I mean, yes, and all people deserve dignity. The bodies, the person, the people, humanity, absolutely. That would be such a 10 out of 10. However, I have to bump it down to a 7 out of 10 because I disagree with set point theory or set weight theory. There are people who believe that whatever weight you are is just the weight that you are, and whatever weight that you gain, you just kind of come into gaining, and you can't do anything about it because your body and your hunger cues will always try to bring you back to that previous weight. I think that that's just a very defeatist approach, and I just simply disagree with it. I think that people gain weight for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of them set weight doesn't matter. I have a double whammy of hypothyroidism and I'm on antipsychotics. I'm sure you could tell. It's not natural. It's not a set weight. It's not my destiny to be overweight and obese because I have those issues too. Or I just don't believe it. And I mean, even with people who don't have a medical issue, but they still end up being like 400 or 500 pounds because of their relationship with food, a history with food, maybe other eating disorder symptoms. I mean, and I feel like especially if you're going on a weight loss journey, you can't come into this believing in something like that, because then I think that like you're only going to be set up to expect yourself to fail. For that reason, as much as I love the rest of the messaging in this, I give the 8th principle 7 out of 10. 9th principle is movement. Feel the difference. Forget militant exercise. Just get active and feel the difference. Shift your focus to how it feels to move your body rather than the calorie burning effect of exercise. If you focus on how you feel from working out, such as energized, it can make the difference between rolling out of bed for a brisk morning walk or hitting the snooze alarm. 10 out of 10. I understand that like fitness influencers and gym girlies are like super in right now. That's like the biggest trend. And I get it, weightlifting. And I understand that like there's a ton of health benefits that go along with it. I don't know if I should say this. This might come back to bite me. Someone might get mad. But honest to God, I find weightlifting excruciatingly boring, especially free weights. Like that shit, ew. But I love dancing. I love dancing. I was like made to be on TikTok. You know what I mean? I could do all the trends. I don't know who the fuck said it first, and it doesn't really matter, but it's such great advice that like the best exercise ever is the one that you will do. The one that you will be consistent at. That is the best exercise. Period. Done. End of sentence. 10 out of 10. Principle number 10. Honor your health. Gentle nutrition. Make food choices that honor your health and taste buds while making you feel good. Remember that you don't have to eat perfectly to be healthy. You will not suddenly get a nutrient deficiency or become unhealthy from one snack, one meal, or one day of eating. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. Progress, not perfection, is what counts. 10 out of 10. Preach it. According to my calculations, I agree with 74% of intuitive eating and the principles of intuitive eating. So, I mean, that's a majority, right? Does that mean I'm like an intuitive eater? One of the founding authors might actually say no. According to a blog post from September of 2018 on intuitiveeating.org by one of the founding mamas, Evelyn Tribble, I don't know. She says, question, what is intuitive eating? She answers, intuitive eating is an evidence-based blah, blah, blah. Okay, hold on. It's a dynamic integration between mind and body. The principles work by either cultivating or removing obstacles to body awareness, a process known as interoceptive awareness. Essentially, intuitive eating is a personal process of honoring health by listening and responding to the direct messages of the body in order to meet your physical and psychological needs. Okay, that's good. I like that. We're removing barriers of body awareness. I think that I'm for that. Yes. Okay, so I'm intuitive eating, right? Well, she continues, what is not intuitive eating? All caps, bold, not. Intuitive eating is not a diet or food plan. Period. Oh my God, did she really say period like that? Evelyn, I thought we were friends. There is no pass or fail. There is no quote unquote blowing it. Rather, it's a journey of self-discovery and connection to the needs of your mind and body. I agree. There is nothing to count. This includes no counting of calories, carbs, points, or macros. If a health professional or coach is offering you intuitive eating for the purpose of weight loss, run away fast. There is not a single long-term study that shows that weight loss dieting is sustainable. Study after study shows that dieting and food restriction for the purpose of weight loss leads to more weight gain. Yes, weight gain. Worse, the focus of preoccupation on weight leads to body dissatisfaction and weight stigma, which negatively impacts health. I agree with so much of this. It's so frustrating that she says no counting of calories, carbs, points, or macros. If it's for the purpose of weight loss, no. Like, lady, can you not gatekeep these like beautiful messages and principles? Like, come on. Come on. What if I am dissatisfied with my body and I have negatively impacted mental health? Like, come on. Why is the first principle, why is the first thing I have to do not want to lose weight when like I'm gonna like spoil the ending for you, but like I want to lose weight. And to be clear, I don't think she intends it like this. I don't even think that most people, I might just be reading too far into it. I think that a lot of people probably wouldn't even have gotten this out of everything I just said. But like, it feels a little bit like how women, hear me out, women are supposed to be like the effortless beauty, but it's like, hoes, beauty takes so much goddamn work. It takes so much effort. I already explained, I have hypothyroidism. I'm on antipsychotics. Like, my body wants to be thick. For me to lose weight, I have to weigh. I've got to count a lot. I have my calculator everywhere I go. I'm weighing on my food scale. I've got grams, fluid ounces. I know my protein, carbs. I have to know it all. I have to count it all. I feel like I do. Like, it helps me. It helps me know what the fuck I'm doing, because it's really, really hard for me to lose weight. But then the other side of it is like, so many people want you to not talk about it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about a diet. They don't want to like hear about how hard you are working. You're supposed to not even have to try. You're just supposed to be hot. And it's like, which do you want from me? Because you can't have both. I can't be this like hot, effortless girl. Okay, both of them do not happen at the same time. That doesn't work, okay? If I'm hot, I am putting a lot of effort into it. Or if I'm not putting any effort into it, ooh. I'm still hot, but like in a different way, not a conventional way. I would just be bigger. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Oh God, I'm going to say it. I'm just not. I'm not as confident at this weight. Okay. That's my confession. That's my truth, is I want to lose weight. I don't think I should be sacrificing my intuitive eating membership card, because when I do it, I have weight loss on my mind. If I follow every other principle, if I believe in every other message, and then just because I'm doing it with the intention of weight loss, therefore I'm not intuitive eating, that just sounds so gatekeepy and so arbitrary. And I'm like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not as good of a feminist, maybe I'm not as like strong of a woman and have like the self-worth as deep as other people do, but like, come on, like I can't change all of that overnight. And I don't think it should be one of the barriers of entry to have to like already have all of that figured out in order to be considered an intuitive eater. Like, this is why so many people just like dye their armpit hair purple and shave their head, because it's like, why is this too much and this like not enough? Like, are you kidding me? At this point, it's just fucking arbitrary. Like, I can't keep up with you. I cannot keep up with you. Like, that's what's so frustrating about this. It's like, I just so wish that so many diets and so many like methods and approaches and, you know, weight loss advice, like I wish it was a lot more nuanced. I wish there was more room to have conversations about it, and not this like hard, fast, like, if you are in this group, you cannot think that way. And if you're in the other group, you cannot, you know, be sympathetic to this other thing. And it's like, it's just exhausting, you guys. It's just. And finally, now that my feistiness is coming to a close, let's talk about the badasses behind intuitive eating. I'm not being sarcastic, because wow. Evelyn, the one who wrote that What Is and What Is Not Intuitive Eating blog post, she is the author of 10 books and co-author of the best-selling Intuitive Eating, a mind-body self-care eating framework with 10 principles, as we just went over, which has given rise to over 125 studies to date showing benefit. Evelyn enjoys public speaking around the world and trains mental health professionals on how to help their clients cultivate a healthy relationship with food, mind, and body through the process of intuitive eating. To date, there are over 1,500 certified intuitive eating counselors in 38 countries. The media often seeks Evelyn for her expertise, appearing in hundreds of interviews, including a lot of really good publications. Evelyn was the nutrition expert for Good Morning America and a national spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics for 6 years. Evelyn qualified for the Olympic trials in the first ever women's marathon in 1984. Okay. She's literally mommy. Although she no longer competes, she is a wicked ping pong player and avid hiker. Hell to the fucking yeah. I love her. All right, let's talk about Elise, who has so many qualifications and acronyms behind her name. I couldn't even tell you what like 4 of these mean. But she's a nutrition therapist in private practice with over 40 years of experience specializing in intuitive eating, eating disorders, and health at every size. She is the co-author of She's the co-author of Intuitive Eating, now in its 4th edition, and the author of the Intuitive Eating Workbook for Teens and the Intuitive Eating Journal. Elise's philosophy embraces the goal of reconnecting with one's internal wisdom about eating and developing body liberation, with the benefit that all bodies deserve dignity and respect. She is a social justice advocate, a member of the Healer Circle of Project Heal, Help to Eat, Accept, and Live, and supervises and trains health professionals and participates in organizations and activities that revolve around prevention and healing of eating disorders. She is also a certified eating disorder specialist and supervisor, a fellow of the International Association of Eating Disorder Professionals, and a fellow of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Her favorite food is pasta, and she also loves dark chocolate. Girl, same. And if you're wondering about my credentials... Okay, so here's the thing. I was a goody two-shoes, smarty pants McGee AP and honor student in high school, okay? Check the gold star on my diploma. And then I dropped out of higher education, which, TBH, I'm still trying to work through. But I would say that eating habits, eating patterns, eating disorders, food, fitness, etc. is my Roman Empire. I just spend way too much time thinking about it. Do I have any extra credentials or qualifications? No. Beauty school dropout. In conclusion, my criticism of intuitive eating is as follows. Like I just vented about, women are not allowed to try to lose weight or count calories or be too strict about food, but they also have to be fit and firm and sexy and in shape and fuck me, you know, whatever. Personally, people have made it seem like intuitive eating is the one and only purest relationship with food. And I hate that. I hate that idea. I really, really strongly dislike that people are putting intuitive eating on this pedestal that I think is like beautiful and perfect and great if you can manage it. If you can get there where you are like completely untouched by diet culture and weight loss is never a thought on your mind, then like, I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever be there. And that's what's really disappointing about the first principle. In my life, I had a counselor who was actually my favorite counselor I've ever had. She was extremely sweet. She was probably like my best, my absolute favorite. Like I never had one like her again. And I never had one like her before I met her. And in one of our last few sessions, she was asking me about like how things were going, and I mentioned food, and then she asked me a few follow-up questions. I honestly don't remember what they were, and she recommended me an intuitive eating book. And everything that I thought that I knew about intuitive eating from that point forward was under the assumption, and like anything I read online too, was that basically that it's like the purest, the best, the like epitome, quintessential relationship with food. Like you've reached your highest self. Your self-actualization is complete when you can be a successful intuitive eater, and any other kind of like eating pattern, eating behaviors that aren't intuitive eating are somehow rooted in diet culture and negative and bad. I had that belief for a long time, and I feel like it kind of messed me up because I think that it made me feel like I was never going to be able to get to the point where I could eat like how it seemed other people ate. And then I had I don't know what it's called, like an intake interview of some sorts. I basically filled out like a really, really long in-depth questionnaire about my history with eating and like eating disorder tendencies. And then I had a phone conversation with, I believe her title would have been like an intake specialist for this eating disorder clinic, an outpatient center. And she and I were talking, and she must have asked me like something that cued me to bring up intuitive eating. And I mentioned it to her. And just to paraphrase what she said, because I don't remember verbatim, this was like years ago, but she basically was saying, about intuitive eating and about that counselor telling me about intuitive eating that intuitive eating is like not for everyone. And I don't know why, but that was like at the time the most comforting thing I could have heard, because up until then, I really, really thought that intuitive eating was the end all be all. Like I said, like it meant that you were like nearly immune to diet culture and you were like the happiest you could ever be with food. And like, as someone who has struggled with food and dieting and my weight and my body image and even my self-image for so long, like that just sounds like paradise. It sounds perfect. But then to be told finally after all those years that it's like that paradise, that perfection isn't for everyone, it's like, oh, good. Because I don't think it's like reasonable that I would get there, at least like no time soon. Some of it just like really doesn't seem possible, to be honest. And like maybe that just makes me sound really sad that like I never see myself not wanting to lose weight, or at least not wanting to maintain a lost weight, a lower weight. That's my honest truth. And for my praises of intuitive eating, if I haven't said enough positive things yet, let me just conclude on this note. I do appreciate about intuitive eating that for a very, very long time, I feel like diet culture and weight loss and super skinny and those kind of looks, those kind of aesthetics, that kind of behavior has been the most prevalent in media and social media and wherever. And I really do appreciate about intuitive eating that it is finally swinging the pendulum back the other direction and putting women at the end in charge of their choices. Secondly, it clearly comes from a good and well-researched, well-educated place. I really seriously, like, even though I've been calling them mommy, like, I do seriously respect the shit out of those women. You don't just, like, overnight get those credentials just for fun. Like, these are people who have been putting years and years, like, their lives' work into helping others, into helping people who suffer with eating disorders. I truly believe that for myself, for those women, and for the vast majority of people like us, people who have struggled with these same issues, majority, like 99.9% of us we see the same thing. We go through a lot of the exact same experiences. We just have different answers for what we think should be done about it. But I truly, truly believe that everyone is coming from a good place, and they're coming from a place of recognizing that there is an issue. Like, there definitely is a problem, whether it's beauty standards, whether it's like the expectations on women and men and like anybody and everybody for like what we all need to look like and act like and eat like. There's definitely an issue. We just came to different conclusions. And I absolutely like respect and admire where they're coming from. They clearly put a ton of thought, a ton of research, and a ton of passion and heart into these principles. I want to leave on the final paragraph of Evelyn's blog post on intuitiveeating.org from September 2018 about what is and what is not intuitive eating. Ultimately, you are the expert of your body. Only you know what hunger, fullness, and satisfaction feels like. Only you know your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Intuitive eating is an empowerment tool. It's time to unleash it and liberate yourself from the prison of diet culture and weight obsession. It is a tool. It is a suggestion. It's some guidelines, some principles for you to consider. And I think that going forward, there are a lot of things about intuitive eating that someone could take into account and could use to have their own perfectly customized weight loss protocol, weight maintenance protocol, weight gain protocol, anywhere they want to go from here, or even if it's like a complete disregard for weight and physical form in general. Thank you so much for listening to everything I had to say. I am in a much sweeter mood now, so I don't want to fight. Just like the video. Just like the video and subscribe, please. And if you want to leave me your comments about parts of intuitive eating you agree with or disagree with, things that I have said that you agree with or disagree with, I will definitely read it. Please don't forget to like the video because I think that this is going to bring about a really, really wonderful discussion. Seriously, consider subscribing. I'd love to break into the triple digits because I've been stuck at 12 for like a year now and I don't love that number anymore. It's becoming my unlucky number because I've just had to see it for so long. So please do consider subscribing. And I thank you so much. And I really, really hope that you'll stick around for more awesome weight loss topics and discussions and advice and vlogs and journeys and all of the etc. So please have a wonderful night, evening, morning, whatever, wherever you are in the world. And I will catch you next time. Toodles!